This is a Sandy Boy Productions podcast.
Welcome to Finish Lines and Milestones, a podcast for everyday runners. I'm your host, Allie Bretnacher, and if you run, you're a runner. Every runner has a story. Join me each week as I share these stories and we celebrate finish lines and milestones together. This week's episode is brought to you by Amazfit. Amazfit is a global smart wearable brand that designs smartwatches, fitness trackers, and health technology for active lifestyles, aka people like us. I have been using their Balance 2 GPS watch for a couple of months now, and I actually wear it instead of my Apple Watch. It has all the features that I want and need from that standpoint, and then I just need them to integrate with VDOT, what my coach uses. But otherwise, it's amazing. It has everything I need. The battery life is way better than my Garmin. It lasts 21 days, so I don't have to stress about whether or not my watch is charged. I just know that it is. And I just put it on the charger when I'm in the shower, and that keeps it charged as much as I need. The other thing is the price point. So watches range from $99 to $399, which is very competitive when it comes to pricing, especially with the quality that you're getting with Amazfit products. So if you are interested in trying Amazfit, or you know that somebody you love is looking for a GPS watch this holiday season, go to amazfit.com. You can use code AllieB to get 10% off your order. There's also holiday sales that will be taking place from December 13th through December 23rd, and you can get up to 45% off. Again, already great prices. So be sure to go check that out. And thank you so much to Amazfit for supporting this podcast. Now, thank you for being here. Whether you're new or you've listened for a while, I appreciate you so much. The Spotify Wrapped came out for creators, and I think I said this last week. I just really appreciate all of you who have this as your number one show. It makes me so happy to be telling stories, building this community. So if you haven't yet, go rate, review, share the podcast. That would mean a lot. It's all I want for Christmas. And if you want to follow along on Instagram, I'm Allie, A-L-L-Y-T Brett, B-R-E-T-T _runs. So we can be friends there too. So this week's episode is Hillary Burgess. She is running up that Hillary on Instagram. So you may know her from there. She is what she would call a micro influencer, but she's built quite a community there alongside her day job. She was in town for the CNO Financial Indianapolis Monumental Marathon last month. So I actually got to meet her in person, which was really fun. She came to our event that Lindsay Hine and I hosted after the marathon. And so she's just as wonderful in person as she is on the internet. And I wanted to get to know her better. So I know you're going to enjoy this conversation where we talk about the Monumental Marathon. She also did every women's marathon, what's coming up next for her, how she's avoided burnout over 26 years of running. And so without further ado, meet my friend Hillary. Hi, Hillary. Welcome.
Hi, thank you.
I am so happy that I finally got to meet you in person after following you on Instagram for what felt like so long.
Oh, it was such a fun weekend. I was so excited to get to meet you out there.
Yes, we got to meet in Indy. And how did you end up coming to Indianapolis for the race?
So I'd never been to Indiana besides like the middle part of a bus ride from Detroit to Chicago. I was technically in Indiana like very briefly once.
Oh, yeah.
But never on purpose, just that. And this is my second year. So I'm part of the Brooks Running Collective, and they're the gear sponsor or the clothing sponsor, whatever sponsor for Indy. And so they have us at the beginning of the year, will rank what races we would want them to send us to.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, this timing wise works in my schedule. I've never been to Indianapolis, and I'm sure the weather will be good. So I chose that one as my first choice, and I got selected. And so they paid for the registration and everything. I didn't really know what to expect, but that's how I ended up there.
That's so cool. How many members of the Brooks Running Collective?
Ooh, I don't know. Let me check. I have our Slack thing. So let me see how many people at least are using Slack. I think most people are on Slack because that's our main thing of communication. I want to say somewhere around 100.
Okay.
Let me see. 150.
150. And this is your second year in
Yes.
BRC.
Yeah.
And how did that end up on your radar? How did you become a part of it?
So I started my running Instagram in January of 2023. It started off, I didn't know anything about, content creation, or I didn't know there was brand ambassadors. I didn't know anything about any of that. I just was running a lot and posting about it on Instagram, and I felt like it was getting annoying on my personal page, like for like my
Yep.
my friends and family who, they want to see like my kids and stuff like that.
Right.
And it was just a lot of running. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to make this. It'll be a digital running journal. I figured I would get maybe 30 followers, like the people who
Right.
followed my personal page who were also runners. I figured they'd come on over there, and that would be the extent of it. And it really blew up. And so during 2023, there were a few people here in San Antonio where I live that were part of the Brooks Running Collective. At the time, it was called Run Happy something.
Okay.
But essentially the same sort of thing. And so that's how it got on my radar. And so later that year, whenever applications opened, I had seen how much fun they had. Like, it seemed like a really good group. I honestly didn't wear a ton of Brooks at the time. And I put that in my application. Like, I was straight up. I said, like, I like y'all's vibe and your values as a company. I don't have a ton of experience with the products themselves, but I feel like I align really well with the actual brand.
Mm-hmm.
So y'all should give me a shot. And for some reason, they read that and they're like, all right, let's do it. And I was honestly shocked that I got a spot at all. And so 2024 was my first year with the group. And now, like, everything that I own is Brooks. It took over pretty quickly. I came to really genuinely love the products. But it was the people and the brand that kind of got me on board in the first place, got me interested. And it's been
that's
great.
so cool. I mean, obviously you love community, just building a community on Instagram and then having this whole other community as kind of a sub community within that is so cool. And I love that they take you to a race. Do they do that typically, like one in the spring and one in the fall, or is it once a year?
So they have a few. So I was supposed to do Houston in January, and I went out there. I ended up having pneumonia, so I went home Saturday evening, but that's one of the big ones. We have a lot of Canadian members, and they'll do Vancouver. So it's one Brooks Running Collective for North America, but most of the people who got selected for Vancouver were some of our Canadian members. They had some people for the New York City Marathon. They had for Philly, whatever the one that already happened, not the one that's upcoming for Philadelphia.
Right. Okay.
They had people for that one. They have a High Rocks, Rocks thing.
Yeah, High Rocks.
Yeah, whatever it is. I don't. That's not my thing, so I don't pay all that much attention.
We'll let Keegan, another member of BRC, we'll let him do that.
He just did that.
I know.
Yeah. So they have that, and so I don't know how many, like, if people do more than one. I think some people do more than one. For my schedule, Indy fit the best. And so that's and then obviously I was supposed to do Houston. That did fit, but life got life got me. So yeah, but it's cool. That's a part of it. We have an annual conference that we go to. We meet up there, and then they do a really good job with meetups, like at the majors and everything too. So even though they're not official Brooks events, they'll set up stuff. So for I ran New York City last year, and I got to hang out with a lot of the Brooks Running Collective people. They had the Brooks Hype House out there. We did a lot of that stuff. And then this year for Chicago, it was the same sort of thing.
It's so cool. So I would say about half my listeners are local to the Indianapolis area because that's where I am. And so I want to hear all about your experience in Indy.
Yeah.
So when you came from San Antonio, did you travel with anybody or did you come solo?
No. So one of the things with the Brooks Running Collective, they recently, like as of last year, changed the rules. So you can only be on it for 3 years because they want to give more people opportunities and everything. So the 3 people who were in San Antonio when I first got into the collective, all 3 of them had been in for 3 or more years already. And so for 2025, none of them were able to stay on. And so I'm the only San Antonian at this point. So I was traveling by myself. And unfortunately, so I have a love-hate relationship with our airport. I love it because I've never waited more than like 8 minutes to get through security ever,
Wow.
on
Yeah.
holiday weekends, like literally never.
So
And that's
nice.
great, except we can fly like 4 places. So, because we're so close to Austin, Houston, Dallas. So basically they're like, oh, well, y'all don't need direct flights. Just get one from one of those hubs. And so that was the only thing I had to switch airplanes to get to Indianapolis. We don't have any direct flights, but it was like 4 hours total with switching planes in Dallas. So it wasn't horrible.
Yeah, that's not too bad. Well, especially as a mom, it's like when you get to travel and be like in an airport on an airplane all by yourself, it's like a vacation all on its own.
It was great.
Except for on your way home, maybe, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, and on the way there, I got my own row on at least one of my flights. I can't remember. Actually, now I took a picture of my myself. I got a full row for one of them, and so it was nice.
And then when you're here, you have like an agenda for the club or collective. And I think that's so fun too. So kind of walk us through what the weekend was like for you, like what you did.
Yeah. So we got in, there were 4 of us who were staying together. And so we met up, we couldn't check in yet. And our shakeout run wasn't starting yet. So we ended up going to eat. I can't remember where we went. It was something that somebody recommended.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it was somebody local had sent me a list of places to go, and we looked up which of them had, was nearby and looked good. We went there. I can't remember what it was. It was like a coffee shop, but they had like sandwiches, and it was super
Where'd you
close.
stay? What hotel?
We stayed in an Airbnb.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
It was a 4-minute, like when the roads were open, it was about a 4-minute drive. When they were closed, we had to go all around. But it was super close.
Nice. Okay.
It's like 1.2 miles or something, not far at all.
Perfect.
So we ate at this place. It was really good. They had, it was like soups and sandwiches. They had their house soup was like a tomato artichoke soup.
You went to Patachu.
Okay, that's what it. See,
Which is a great recommendation.
It was really
it's
good.
in the Simon building. It's like in an office building almost. It's on the first floor. I don't know if you would remember what it. Or there's a couple
it was close to where we needed to go, so it was it was convenient. It was really good, and I was starving at that point, so we met up there. Keegan ended up coming and meeting us there also.
Good.
So it was the 3 girls I was staying with and him, and then
did you get the cinnamon toast? Did anybody get the cinnamon toast?
No. What did I get? Oh, I got an omelet. That's what I got.
Okay, their omelets are really good.
Yeah.
But I always get the cinnamon toast with the omelet.
Oh,
so I should have been able to tell. I wish I could have told you, man. Because they it's like a chunk layer of that cinnamon sugar, and it's
all right.
Really
I'm
good.
coming back then, I guess.
Come back for it. When you're back here, got to get the Patachu cinnamon toast.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we did that, and then after that, we walked over to, I think it's White River or something.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
The park. And so that's where they had our shakeout run. And it was the foliage could not have been at a better spot for that weekend. And it's crazy because it could be at any point in the fall. Like you never know when that stuff's gonna change. And I'm sure there's been years for this race where the trees are already bare.
Totally.
And so it worked out perfectly. It was like it could not have been nicer. And so that park, they were all different kinds of trees. So they weren't even the same colors. They were just all changing at the same time. And it was beautiful. And with the river there, great first impression for this. Well, I guess my first impression was the restaurant, which was also great. And so we did a shakeout run. It was just the Brooks Running Collective. The people in charge brought us some shirts and some fuel for the race and some goodie bags and stuff like that, which was cool. And then we just did 3 miles around the park, and it was.
Did you go down by the canal?
Yes, we did.
Right. Okay. Because I remember you telling me, and I was like, that'll be perfect for a shakeout run. It's a cute little. It's not super far. It's perfect for a shakeout run. I've done many laps down there, and then it's just such a nice view of the city too in certain spots.
Yeah. Oh, it was beautiful. And I don't usually do shakeout runs because usually they're first thing in the morning. And if I'm traveling for something, I don't want to do that. So I just sleep through them.
Blame you.
Yeah. I don't even remember if I've ever done a shakeout run, to be honest, ever. I mean, like local stuff I'll run in my neighborhood or something.
That's surprising though, given
Yeah.
like the number of races you've done
Yeah.
over the last 26 years.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
But I don't know. I like to sleep. So the fact that this was
Yeah.
at 2 p.m. was great. So
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, perfect. The weather was nice and yeah, it was beautiful. And then they had a dinner for us, but we were all super, super tired. So instead we went to Kroger and we just got stuff to make pasta at the Airbnb.
Perfect.
Yeah. So that was awesome. I am a big fan of pasta. Like I have the lowest standards for places to sleep, pasta, coffee. Like I can appreciate all of these. Like I can appreciate a comfy bed and like really good pasta and really good coffee. But like I also will be just fine with a 99-cent box of penne with butter. And that's what we did.
Yep.
And it was great. And
Perfect. And you saved probably who knows how much, because I feel
yeah.
like it just gets more and more expensive to eat in general
Yeah.
these days, especially out at a restaurant. So
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah. So we did that. And then I went to sleep. Oh, we went to the expo at some point too. We went, I totally forgot about that part. That was,
yeah, because it would have been around 4:30. When was the,
yeah. So we
whenever
went to the expo after the shakeout run. So we did the shakeout run. That took maybe 35 minutes or something. And then we kind of hung out for a while before and after. Even though we saw each other this summer, it's still been a few months. And so just catching up with everybody. And then we went to the expo, and it was really hard not to buy more stuff.
I was going to say.
Usually I don't buy a ton of stuff at expos, but having it be like a Brooks event and it was like really good quality stuff and I really liked it. I did only buy one tank top, so I was very, very proud of myself. It was restraint. And the expo was such a good size because like it was not overwhelming. Like, you know, like Chicago, getting out of there quickly was like nearly impossible. I didn't stop barely anywhere in Chicago. I was like, I want to get my stuff and I want to leave, but you have to go through everything and it's like a maze and you can't go in the same place you entered. You can't leave that way. And then, you know, we have a lot of races here that, you know, the expo is like 2 tables. So right. Like, cool. Yeah, I'm glad I went all the way down here for that. So it was a good size. That was, and it's also my favorite size of race also, where it's big, but not so big that you can't move and like all that. And
right. Yeah. I agree. Yeah. And I'm biased, obviously.
Yeah.
But no, we actually doubled the size of our expo this year.
Really? Okay.
So we usually do, it's like one of those halls. And so I think the bigger expo gave us more opportunity for like photo ops and just made it feel, like less crowded and overwhelming. And so I'm glad you felt that as part of your experience.
Yeah, it was great. And, you know, y'all had the interviews going on. So that was cool to see. It was cool to come meet you when you were,
that was so funny
there.
Yeah, I was like messaging with you on Instagram and you're like, I am behind you. And I just like turn around and like we just lock eyes and we're like, hey.
Just a little creepy. Sorry.
So no, it was so great. I love it so much. Yeah. And then after that, that's when you went back.
That's when we went to Kroger and then we ate and then went to bed. Like I went to bed pretty early. And so same thing with the pasta, you know, like my bed at home is super comfy and I love it. It's like my favorite place in the world, but I can sleep in any bed, couch, chair, ground, like anywhere.
That's
like
such a talent.
At any point. Yeah, it's nice. So I fell asleep and then apparently I guess there was like the girls that I was staying with, I guess there was some commotion, there was some bug in one of their beds and all this. And I slept through all of it. Like I had no idea any of this even happened. Like I just went directly to sleep and then suddenly it was 5 a.m. And yeah, so
that's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
especially
a talent.
Before a race. Like, especially before a race. I always sleep like crap the night before a race pretty much. So I feel good if I get, you know, good night's sleep maybe the night before that. But the night of the race, I'm like, if I sleep, great. But my nerves, no matter what kind of race, like whether I'm racing or just having fun or whatever, I still get nervous. It's so weird.
Yeah, I'll have like those anxiety dreams sometimes, like where I somehow missed the entire race, like things like that. Yes. But I'll be asleep while I have those dreams. You know, I'll have the anxiety, but I will also sleep for 7 or 8 hours. So
that's great. And so what does your race day morning routine look like?
So this was actually the first time that I've done like any sort of filming before a race, just because I was in an
also
Airbnb.
surprising.
Yeah. So just because I was in an Airbnb with other girls doing the same thing. So I was like, oh, well, I'll do that. So I actually made a pre-race video like in my pajamas, and then I was in my race day stuff. And I was like, all right, here's a video. Usually I don't do that. My usual thing is I wake up and like as late as I possibly can, you know, and get myself to the start line on time. I also, you know, I wasn't in charge of transportation, so I was also, you know, I had to be ready when they were ready and all that. So this was definitely different than my usual race day morning. I always make coffee, so made coffee there, and usually I just get dressed and I go. Like it's about a 10 or 15-minute process from the time I wake up to the time I'm out the door. But it took a little bit longer this time. I did glitter. I had never done any sort of glitter.
It makes it so much fun. I'm obsessed now with glitter.
Yeah, it was fun because one of the girls had like glitter, like I think it was actually hair gel, but I put it on my face and it worked and it was good.
Beautiful.
And so I'd never worn any sort of glitter or anything, but I did all that. And then
and your shirt was so cute. I loved how you had your name on your shirt.
Yes.
It was obviously
so
Brooks.
so that was actually one of the girls on our team, Amy. She made those for all of us and brought those for all of us, which was so awesome.
That's so nice.
Yeah. And that was another thing I had never done. Like I've had, you know, some of the race bibs, they have your name on them, or I've done like the pins and paces ones, like those ones, but I've never actually worn my name on my outfit. And so that was so cool, like getting to do that. And I mean, I wouldn't have, like, if she hadn't brought them for everybody.
Yeah.
So it was a cool thing. And so all of us had those. And then most of us were like not exactly matching, but our last few kits they've sent us have all been in this same color family with fuchsia and this like bluish grayish. And so we're all wearing like variations of that, which was cool also.
Yes.
And then I actually we got to the start line and we went in the expo convention center, whatever that is. And it was warm in there. And then the girls I was with, they went to go get in their starting corrals. And I decided not to do that because it was cold and I wanted to stay with the indoor bathroom and everything. So I ended up just watching from the window. And then when I saw my corral approaching, I went out there, I climbed through the fence and I started the race probably 90 seconds after going outside. So
good.
Yeah.
So good.
I like
our start line was different this year, actually. I don't know if you knew that, but we usually start, there's like the big Capitol building, like the State House. It actually had a bunch of like scaffolding on the top of it. They're still renovating it or whatever. And so usually that's where we start. It's also where you finish, right? I don't know why I'm questioning myself, but it's like right there and you're on Capitol and they had construction that they kept saying was going to be done. And so 2 weeks before the race, we made the announcement that we moved the start and it was over like a few blocks. But I actually think we might keep it that way because of like stories like that, where it's like, hey, we got to use the warm-up area in the convention center until right before the race, because before we still had the warm-up area in the same spot. And so people would have to like leave earlier to go walk to the start. But now that's amazing that you did that.
Yeah. And there was only a handful of people at that point. Like most people, you know, they like to be in the corral sooner and all that. But it was like I was there and there was some like, I don't know, like 80-year-old guy who was like, he and I were both standing there together and made some conversation with him for a while. And it was like mostly empty. There's nobody in the bathrooms. Like the cleaning crew had already come in and all this.
Wow.
So it was, but I ended up, cause I was in Corral D, I saw them come up. And so I just headed out. I got in and started the race.
And took off.
Yeah.
And I remember when I talked to you at the expo, you said you would be like really thrilled with a sub 2. And then you just like crushed that. So
yeah.
How was your race?
Oh, it was great. So the weather could not have been better.
So nice.
Obviously chilly standing around, but once you start moving, it was perfect. And so I did intervals of 4.5 minutes running and then 30 seconds walking. And it's always tough, you know, making yourself walk like half a mile into a race.
Yeah.
because, I want to just tell everybody, I'm like, I promise I can run more than half a mile. Like I can do it, but
I'm fine. I'm
it's
good.
on purpose. Yeah. Or like when like spectators see me walking and I'm not even at the 1 mile, they're like, you can do it. You can do it. I'm like, I promise I'm okay. So that's always tough. But I was like, okay, if I'm gonna PR, like I need to stick to my race plan. Like I need to do it. And so I just ran faster. I was feeling good. So I just ran faster during the running things, but I didn't skip a single walk until like literally my last walk. That was the only one that I skipped. And that was at like probably 12.7 or something. Like, so I did
right as you're coming into like
Yeah.
everybody screaming.
Yeah. So I did every 5 minutes, I walked for 30 seconds for the entire race. So
wow.
that was big. I also don't wear a watch. So the only thing that I have is that I know that they're 5-minute increments. And so when I pass the mile marker, I have some sort of idea where I'm at just based on how many interval, like where it comes in that. That was like when I knew I had to keep a 9-minute pace or faster. And so I knew like when I got to mile 5, it should be before the 45-minute mark, which is when it would go off. My interval timer would go off at 44.5 minutes, and then it would go back into a run at 45 flat. So I was like,
did you have the timer like in your ear?
Yes.
Okay. I was like, wait, how in the hell are you
So I
doing
do have
this
the timer.
knowing?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do have
but
the
you don't have a
timer.
watch that's showing your cumulative time that you're
No.
like looking at for your,
No, I just know it's like a whistle. It's an interval app, and it whistles at me twice to walk and once to run.
Perfect.
And it's they're 5 minutes, so 4.5 minutes of running and 30 seconds of walking. So I can kind of calculate like anything that's 9 minutes that lines up with 5 or 10. So I knew that I needed to be past the 9-mile mark before 90 minutes, past the 5-mile mark before 45 minutes, or past the 10-mile mark before 90 minutes, and the 5-mile mark before 45. And other than that, like it was just kind of running by feel, because I was going all out. Like I was running at a pace where like I couldn't have pushed harder. So looking at what my time was wouldn't have helped me. Like Chicago, it might have helped a little bit more because I was aiming for a 10-minute pace for that one. And so I could run faster at any given time, not sustained, but like I could. So it might have helped a little bit more for that. But it also helped like having it be a 10-minute pace. That's, 2 intervals per mile. And so I kept good track there too.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So use an app. Are you also listening to music?
Yes.
While you have, okay. That makes sense. And so how do you know, like, how does it decide like what increments to do? Like, cause I'm assuming not everybody does 4.5 minutes and then 30 seconds. I'm assuming it's different. How do you determine what intervals make the most sense?
So
there's just kind of trial and error.
Yeah. So trial and error is kind of the way I did. Like I just came up with it because my Chicago goal was 4:30. And so I was like, okay, if I run 10-minute miles, I will end under 4:30, and it just worked for me well. And so I ended up finishing in 4:15 in Chicago using that. And so I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna do that for Indy also. Like I don't need to adjust the intervals. I'll just run the running portions a little bit faster. So instead of running at like a 9-minute pace during the run part and then walking at whatever pace, I ran closer to like an 8:15, 8:20. And then I would walk for 30 seconds. And then it ended up averaging around like 8:45 pace.
Nice.
Yeah.
At what point in the race did you know you were going to PR?
Probably at the 10-mile mark, because I knew that it was at least 5 minutes before 90 seconds. And I realized that I could run the last 3 miles at a 10-minute pace. And I could still finish in under 2 hours. I wasn't sure if I was going to, because my PR going in was 1:57. So I wasn't sure that I was going to PR until the end. And I actually didn't even know my time until I finished. And I turned off Strava and it was 1:56:03. And so I was like, ooh, I wonder if my chip time, if I was able to get under 156. And so it wasn't for like a while because I didn't have any service. It wasn't for a while that I could actually check and see. And it actually was 155, which was cool. But yeah, so I didn't even know right away. I knew it was a PR because it was obviously 156 or 155. But yeah, I wasn't sure on the exact time until later when I could get service.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
So amazing.
Yeah.
When I talked to you at the expo, I was like, and then the next day you PR, I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. She just absolutely crushed that. So that's so great. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. And then, what I was most proud of was how even my splits were. Like looking at, because they had the check-in thing at 5K, 10K, 15K or 10 mile or something, and then the finish. And all of them were within like 10 seconds of each other. So it was, you know, I didn't go out fast and then die at the end and just kind of hang on. Like it was even effort throughout. So I was really proud of it.
Yeah. Yeah. As you should be. It's amazing. And then right after the race, what did you do?
I went back out to cheer for my friends that were doing the full. So
yeah, where was that again? Where was your cheer
that was
station?
at like the 41 kilometer mark. So less than a mile from the finish. So it was like, but not so close that, you know, people were turning it on and sprinting and everything. It was like the last place in the race where people were struggling. So it was a really good spot to be. So we went out, and at the time, like I finished the race. Oh, first thing I did was throw up. So I stopped Strava. I throw up. I get a medal. I get a.
Do you usually throw up after a race? Is that normal for you?
Usually in the summer. So not typically when the weather's nice, like usually when it's hot, but like sometimes with like an all out sprint, I will.
Yeah.
It's
not... we talked about, there was a lot of puke at the finish line.
Yeah.
When I finished my race and then we hung around to watch the marathon finisher. I mean, people just were like, there's a lot of puke. And I was kind of like, oh.
Yeah.
There being so much puke, but it's normal. I mean, people.
It is. Yeah. I mean,
it was a good day to push yourself.
Yeah. You're pushing yourself hard. I also ended up, because they had fuel like on the course. Like I usually bring 3 gels for a half marathon. And after I did my third one, like I was kind of feeling myself like run out of energy. And so I had taken one of the, whatever the gels, I think it was Never Second.
Never Second. That's right. Yep.
And they were like liquidy. And so I ended up taking one at like maybe mile 12 or something. And I know most of the benefits you get that late in it are like just tricking your brain into thinking that you're getting stuff.
Sure. I know. Yes.
And so, you know, having taken fuel like 8 or 9 minutes before the finish definitely it was fresh in my stomach. Like I was pushing myself really soon after taking a gel. And it wasn't a gel I was used to. So it was, you know, but it wasn't,
I did the same thing actually. At mile like 11 or so, a friend of mine she brought me a pumpkin spice goo to try because I love pumpkin spice. And it was delicious. I love it. I took it and I was like, I would definitely add this in my rotation. But same thing, like we're pushing hard at the finish. And so we're getting closer. I'm like, God, I hope I don't throw up this pumpkin spice goo because that would ruin it for me maybe. But so
it was a brief, I threw up. I was nauseous for 30 seconds. I stood up. I got a medal. They gave me a beanie. I walked away, immediately lost the beanie.
Oh no.
I got one later. So I did go back and get one. Once all the half marathoners had finished, I went back and I asked, like, hey, I lost mine. Can I have one? And they had like plenty of leftovers. So they did give me one. And then it was all of this like adrenaline, and I had been running at full on effort and everything. I was running at like a full on effort. And so I was super warm, and I'm like, oh, I'll take a foil blanket and I'll be totally fine to cheer for the next 2 hours. And I don't need to go pick up my bag from bag check. I don't need to wait and do that. So I go out to the 41K mark. We're out there, and like the adrenaline lasts for a little while. I start cheering. It was awesome. Like this was like when the fastest people were coming through when I got out there, you know, people running 2.5 hour marathons. When I got to cheer out there, like the fast people. And so I was like so excited that I got to watch that and all of this. And then we had some of our people who were finishing the half marathon also. So I got to cheer for some of them. And then at some point between our last half marathoner and our first full marathoner, it just like hit me. I was like, I'm not feeling so great. And we had one of the women from Brooks, she gave me an Uncrustable and that perked me back up. And
there you go. Give a girl what she likes.
Yeah. And it was cold. I was definitely getting cold at that point, but I was like, I'm not going to miss anything. So I just, that Mylar did double duty for longer than it should have. I didn't get my jacket for a few hours after finishing, but it was fine. And it was such a cool experience because I usually, and I think most people do this, I usually run a race and go home or go to my hotel or go to lunch or go to whatever. And it was so cool staying and cheering for people and like not even just the people, like the Brooks people that I knew, like random people.
Yes.
Like it was such a fun thing, like just cheering for people. And then we got to see, like the back of the pack half marathoners. So that was really cool. And then our marathoners started coming through and that was awesome. So we had 5 people doing the full marathon. And I wasn't tracking anything at that point. I was just like yelling a lot and shivering. But like we had people tracking. So we're like, okay, they just hit 25 at mile 25. So they'll be here in 3 minutes, 4 minutes, whatever it was. And so we didn't miss any of them. And that was such a cool thing that we got to do. And all of them hit their goals. I think most of us in the half hit our goals too. I mean, there's a lot of us. So I don't know for sure, but it was a lot of PRs that day.
Yeah, I have to shout out Leah, who lives in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
She ran her first marathon and absolutely crushed it.
Yeah, she did. She did. When she came by, like you could tell how emotional she was because she was, she's less than a mile from finishing her first marathon. And to get to like see that, I'm like getting goosebumps. Like to get to like be a tiny part of that was just such a cool thing. And she looked strong. I think she ran pretty even splits also, which is not the most common for first marathons. A lot of people a lot of people go out really fast and then they're just dying because they don't know the distance yet. And so she crushed it like with really finishing strong and all that. And then we had Amy, who I mentioned, who made us the thingies. She and she's a walk runner too. So she was trying to BQ. And so she finished in 3:28. And I believe, I don't know how old she is, but I believe a BQ would have been 3:30 for her age group. Okay. So she BQ'd, with walk run intervals, which, that's amazing. And then Lena, who was one of the girls I stayed with, she had used to live in Indianapolis, and however many years ago she had run it the first time, she finished in 4:44. And so her goal was to finish an hour faster than that. So she wanted to finish in 3:44. She ended up finishing in like 3:36. And so and I think that was a PR. It was definitely a course PR by more than an hour, but like, I think it was an all-time PR also.
Wow. Yeah.
Paisley didn't have a time goal, but she looked strong. She did great. And then we had one guy, Owen, and I don't know what his goal was, but I think he hit it. And so that was good too. Yeah. So we saw all 5 of our marathoners and like slowly as the rest of the half marathoners finished, like everybody made their way over. So all of us were cheering. Like it started with fewer and more of us over there. And so it was like a super energetic cheer station. It was awesome.
Yeah. And that's amazing. You got to see all of your marathoners.
Yeah.
I kept telling myself, like I was tracking probably like 30 people and I'm like looking, I'm like, okay, after this one, I'm going to go back because I needed to shower and like get ready for our event. So I'm like, okay, after this one, I'm going to go. And I kept doing that.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to leave like cheering for people. Yeah. It was so much fun. I loved doing it.
It was awesome. Yeah. And so because Lena was our last full marathoner, which is insane that like out of the like our last full marathoner was still under 3:40. So she finished. And then I walked over to the finish because we were staying together. And so that's when I finally got my jacket. And then we ate pizza. There's like an entire montage of us eating pizza first on her parents' cameras. And then
my friend Timmy.
He got them too. So we have the high def professional pizza pictures. Like
I'm so happy.
10 pictures of us. And then at that point, it was 4 hours after. So like the half marathon was completely done. And so that's when I went back and I'm like, hey, can I have a hat? I lost mine within 30 seconds of y'all giving me one. And then, we went back and just hung out until your show.
Oh my gosh, you didn't take a nap?
I sat in bed and liked everybody's indie posts.
Yeah. Okay.
So
That's a good rest too.
Yeah, it was some
Yeah.
downtime.
Yeah. I so badly wanted to like sneak in a power nap, but it did not occur. I always underestimate how long things are going to take. Yeah. And
Time, but like there were so many people posting about their races and everybody did so well. And I have to like and comment like everybody.
Yeah.
So
yeah, absolutely. And it's like, yeah, you're still kind of on that post-race high too. Like even if I would have laid down, I don't think I would have been able to fall asleep, frankly, because just of all the things that still I needed to do. And then just the adrenaline of the day. And but yeah, I was so thankful that you and Keegan came to the live podcast, the celebration.
Yeah, that was
so fun.
Such a fun event. And I was starving by then. The food was great. Like it was fantastic. Pretzels and some sort of like cantaloupe with prosciutto.
Yes, with like
that
prosciutto.
Was really good.
Yep. That's what Timmy took a picture of me eating that, and there's like 10 pictures. I was so pissed.
Good
I was
that
like,
you have your own food montage.
I do, and it's really special.
That's great. Yeah, the food was good. There were plenty of like non-alcoholic drink options, which I always love. Like I love a non-alcoholic beer. So they had Athletic Brewing at the finish, and then y'all had it at your event too. So I was excited by that. And then got to talk to some people who either I had met on Instagram or they had followed me on Instagram. Like there's a few people that I met at that event. So that was really cool. I got to see Howie. And so I had just had his brother on my podcast. And so I owed him an update on when that was going to be posted, which was the following day. And then
you're going to have to tell people, who Howie is and who his brother is.
Yeah.
Not everybody's going to know.
Yeah. So Howie Keflezgy, he's an agent to lots of important people, Nikki Hiltz and Hillary Bohr and plenty of fast, important runners. And then his brother is Meb.
Yeah, no big deal.
Yeah. So
cool.
he was there, and I met some of y'all's other vendors that I hadn't met before. I made the little poster. I had never gotten one of those. I'd never gotten one of those at events. They have them like at the majors and stuff, but it's always like, oh, let's go wait for 3.5 hours to stamp a poster, and I'm like, I'm not doing that. Yeah. So I got to do one of those. That was really cool. And then we sat down for the podcast, and it was cool. It was fun to listen. Actually had Emily on my podcast yesterday. So
that's so great.
Yeah. So I had talked to her in Chicago. I don't think that was a podcast. I think that was just like a panel discussion, but I talked to her then. I'm like, oh, hey, you should come on. And then I saw her and she on Lindsay's podcast. And so that was really cool to watch. And then we left pretty quickly after that because Brooks had like a dinner thing. And it was like some fat guy.
Fat Dan's.
Fat Dan, yeah. It was like it's a man's name and he's fat, and
it's a man's name and he's fat, and the food is so good.
Yeah, so we walked over there to see everybody because a lot of people had like super early morning flights, and so it was going to be our last chance to see everybody. So we went over there and hung out and ate sandwiches, and then we weren't ready to go home, so we got ice cream like 4 feet from there. I don't know what the place was called, but it was somewhere like right there that sold ice cream, and they also had like chocolates and stuff. So I don't know if
I don't know where Fat Dan's is downtown. I should, but I don't. And so whatever's right there. Was it on the circle?
It was like on a triangle. It was like the tip of a triangle. So you walk this way and then like that.
Okay, like where's there a Fogo de Chão there? Like the big Brazilians together? Okay, never mind. I don't know. I'll look it up.
I don't know.
I don't know. There's so much change. I mean, everywhere, every city, I feel like it's always changing. But like downtown Indianapolis, I used to work down there. I used to go there every day. But now I don't go down there very much. And so every time I do, I'm like, where did this come from?
Yeah.
Like, and then you did get home, but the snow, I cannot believe it snowed.
Yeah, no, it was cool.
I can.
So first my flight got delayed, not because of the weather, just because of just the regular flight delays and the government shutdown, and they had like 4 people working total. So I got to spend some extra time in Indy. And so when I got the text that my flight was delayed, I was like, all right, I'm going to go to a coffee shop. And then that's when I looked up. I messaged you, but then I immediately found a cat cafe. And I was like, okay, whatever you tell me is not gonna compete with a cat cafe.
No. And I would have never suggested that because I'm not a cat. It's not on my radar.
Yeah. Like I don't like dogs. I'm not a dog person. I don't want to pet your dog. Like it's just not my thing, but I love cats because I feel like I am like cats are a lot more like me. Like I'm not a big hugger. I'm not like there's only so much time that I can spend with people. And then it's like, I get to a point and then I'm just like, I want to be by myself. Like
yeah.
the way cats are, they're like, all right, I love you. And now I'm leaving.
Yeah. Love you. Goodbye.
Yeah. And so I went to this place. They had really good coffee. It was called 9 Lives Cat Cafe.
That's so funny.
And they had really good coffee. And then you go and you can just hang out with cats. And I just found these 2 cats that just wanted to sleep. And I just wanted to like hang out with them. Like, they didn't want to play or eat or do anything. Like they just wanted to hang out there and purr. And I was like, all right, I'll just hang out with y'all. And so I spent like an hour just sitting next to 2 cats, and it was great.
That's so funny. Do they let you, can you adopt cats from there?
Yes.
Okay.
So they like probably the cats I hung out with are already gone. Like they have such a fast turnover with cats. They have these Polaroids on their walls that they're just covered with. Every time one of them gets adopted, they take a Polaroid and it goes on the wall. And it's just like,
that's cool.
Thousands of cats. I mean, so many. And so that was something that was really cool. Like,
yeah.
And then they also were having a food drive. And I happened to have the second box of penne pasta. Like I just had it in my bag because I'm like, well, I don't want to leave it at the Airbnb. Like,
That's
like
so funny.
And so I was like, hey, look, I can help.
Wow, that is funny.
Yeah. So it was actually, I wanted to get home. My original flight, I would have gotten home at 11 a.m., which would have been nice. But it was kind of nice, like getting to have that extra couple hours. And then I went to the airport, and then my flight was delayed again, multiple times. And then I finally got on the airplane, and they're like, hey, like we're in line to be defrosted, but so are like 3 million planes also. And so we just sat there for forever. And I'm like, why couldn't y'all have just done this before you got us on the flight? Like if you were going to delay us anyways, like why do we have to be on the full flight? All of us packed in here, just sitting on the tarmac waiting to be defrosted. But eventually we took off, made it to Nashville. And then my flight, that flight, I thought I was going to miss, but it was delayed also. So
okay. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I was like, all right, cool. And I made it home.
Finally made it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I had no idea that you were running every women's marathon.
Yeah.
I don't know why we didn't talk about it. And so when I saw you were heading there, I was like, oh my gosh, how cool. We have to hear about that experience. And then we need to go back in time because of how long you've been running and tell people that story. But I want to hear about Arizona. How was your weekend? Quick break in the show to let you know that this episode is also brought to you by Foot Levelers. Foot Levelers have been in the custom orthotics business for over 70 years. They have millions of customers all over the globe, and the key things you need to know about Foot Levelers is that they are customized to your feet, not one size fits all. They're designed from a scan or a mold of your feet. They have 3 arched support compared to the 1 arch support you might be used to in other inserts. And so it supports all 3 arches of your foot, which creates a stable foundation for your entire body, which will get you proper alignment that reduces stress on your knees, hips, and spine, which is obviously great for runners. And there are options for every shoe and lifestyle. So if you are on your feet all day for work, this is also an option for that, not just for running shoes. So if you're interested in learning more about Foot Levelers, a quick plug for Lindsay Hines, I'll have another podcast. The president of Foot Levelers, Jamie Greenewald, was on there, and she was episode 646. So if you really want to hear the whole story, you can go listen there or go to footlevelers.com to find a provider near you. Thank you so much, Foot Levelers, for supporting this podcast. I want to hear about Arizona. How was your weekend?
It was awesome. It was probably the beginning of this year, or maybe last fall, sometime in the past 12 months, I got an email from somebody. They're like, hey, do you want to run every women's marathon as part of Team Milk? And so they have this really cool thing where the Dairy Farmers of America, it's like the big sponsor, but then each like local dairy has an individual rep. So the one that I ran for was Hygia, which is a South Texas dairy, but then they have, Shamrock Farms and True Moo and, whatever the like local milk is. And they each have a local representative for them. And so all of us are training all across the US. And so it's all part of like one big team, but then there's the local aspect. So it was kind of a really cool thing. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. And I already knew at that point that I was running Chicago. So the goal for every woman's was always just to go out and do whatever my legs felt like doing that that day. I never had any intention to like party pace, whatever, like, but I certainly didn't plan on racing. It was just kind of like, whatever happens. And it was cool. So I grew up in Arizona. I lived there from when I was 6. So I was born in San Antonio. And then when I was 6, we moved out to Arizona, which is where my parents went to college. My dad went to high school out there. And so we moved there. I lived there elementary, junior high, high school. And then I graduated high school and I moved back to Texas. And so I spent 12 years of my life in Arizona. My dad's whole side of the family is still out there. And so that was another big draw when they reached out.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, like, well, I can bring the family. My youngest hadn't even met my grandma yet. And
wow,
I hadn't been back.
How old's your youngest?
4.
4. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
So nice.
So that was another big draw. So that was really cool. I got to see some of my family out there, and it was just such like a positive experience altogether. Like the race, the expo, everything, like just radiating positivity, which was such a cool thing. Like it's like what you would expect for a women's race, but then everybody, you can be cynical and be like, oh well, it's probably not actually like that, but it really was, and it was really cool.
Yeah, it looked absolutely amazing. And I saw they had posters there too, which made me smile.
They did.
I was like,
they did. I took a picture and I left it there. I did not bring it home. Yours is sitting next to me, so I did bring yours home.
Great.
Yours made it to my house. That one, I was like, I'm not bringing this home, but I did get a picture with it.
I feel like it's a perfect photo op too.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah. Really cute.
And it was fun. It was the course. I mean, I don't know if they could have even done it differently just because of where mountains are, but it was tough because it was like the first half was downhill and then you go back up and around and all this stuff. So I ended up running like a 2:03 half marathon and like a 2:18 second half. It was like significantly slower. And it didn't even feel like I was running slower. It just felt so much harder just because, you're flying down.
It's hot too.
And the sun came out. So it wasn't, it was like mid 70s when I finished.
But still.
But it was full sun. When you've been running for 3 or 4 hours, like 75 and sunny feels warm. And they had like stations at every bathroom stop. They had like little baskets that had all sorts of stuff. So they had sunscreen. So I stopped multiple times to put on sunscreen.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah. Like it was direct sun. And that's one of the things. So Texas is pretty warm also. But one of the things that I've always, as someone who's lived 20 some years here and 12 there, the thing that I prefer is that we have so much shade here. So like it might be 90 degrees, but like it doesn't suck the life out of you the same way when you can run on a shaded trail the entire time. And out there, shade is so like not common. And so we're out on these canals and it's just beating down on us. And so by the time I got back into like Old Town Scottsdale, I was ready for the race to be over. I was over it at that point. But then the finish area was so cool. Like they had the like professional, like retired professional athletes, like were the ones giving out the medals and stuff, which was so cool. Like not only were they there, doing the announcements and the panels and all the stuff that like usually you'll see people like that doing, but they were actually like the people putting your medal on you, which is such a cool thing.
Yeah. So cool. Yeah, I actually didn't realize, but at Indy, Emily Infeld was doing medals too. I don't know why I didn't get mine from her. Maybe I was just, I don't know. I got one from another board member of like somebody I knew, But I loved that she stayed there and was just handing out medals to everybody. And I saw that Des was doing that. At every women's, and Catherine Switzer. I mean, like,
and
holy
Dina,
crap.
and it was such a cool.
Yeah, and Dina was there too.
Yeah, and actually, I got to hang out
cool.
with Dina on Saturday. So she was on my podcast a couple months ago, and so I had kept in contact with her, and I knew she was going to be out there. And so she's like, "Oh, well, I have this panel coming up. If you want to walk with me from my hotel to where I'm doing the panel." So it was like 15 minutes, but it was like so exciting for me. Like, I'm like, I get 15 minutes to hang out with Dina Castor and all this. So that was really cool. And I went to her panel. Molly Huddle was part of that panel. Alicia Montagna was the moderator. So that was really cool. I got to have, so my daughter was with me for when I went to the expo in the first place. And it was really cool because since it was a women's marathon, like they had so many things catered to like families, and then like everything was sparkly and glitter and all that. And so she got to get her hair braided.
Oh, that's amazing.
And they did like the pink tinsel in her hair, and it was awesome because like I don't run like with my hair down, so it's like if I did that, like you would never see it. I'd be in a hat and all that. So I'm like, let's get your hair done. Let's do that. And so
that was smart.
She loved it.
Is she your 4-year-old, or
she's the 4-year-old? Yeah.
Okay.
And then my son is 10, and he actually went to, my dad was in town also because he hadn't seen his mom in a while. And so he took my son to an ASU football game because that's where he went. That's where he met my mom. So.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah. And then my husband just slept in and then came and met us at the expo later on.
Nice. Well, congrats.
Thank you.
2 marathons in a season. I just always have so much respect for people who can do that. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It just looked like such a good place to do it though.
It was great. I ran faster than I had planned. Obviously I didn't PR, but like it was still faster than I had expected. I thought like if I could finish in under 4:30, I'd be happy. And I finished in 4:22. It was still pretty fast by my own standards.
Right. And was it your 10th marathon? 11th. Okay. Yes. You got to update that Instagram bio now.
I know I do. Chicago was 10.
I saw it and I was like, I wonder if it's 10 or 11.
Yeah. 11 now it's 11. Marathons. I do need to update that. I stopped updating it for half marathons because I lost count. I'm somewhere in the 80s. I called Indy my 85th because I'm somewhere in the 80s, but I don't know exactly where. But we're calling that 85.
I know. I have a spreadsheet, so I know I've done 66. So I have a count. I'm pretty sure it's accurate. Like it took me forever. I did this a while ago, but like I scoured the races I knew that I'd done. And like I did each year that I might have done it. And then like, it took a lot, but like, where you're at now with, running your first half marathon when you're in high school, it's like,
oh, no, I was in college with my first half.
Or you were in college. That's right. Okay. Half was in college. Still college.
Yeah.
Because mine was right after, maybe the year before I graduated or the year after I graduated was my first half. But yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So I like how you mentioned Arizona and growing up in Arizona, because then now we can take the people back and talk about how you had your dad as your running coach, which I thought was so cool. So were your parents both active as you were a kid?
Not my mom as much. She was more active, just like chasing after us, like all of that kind of stuff.
Doing the mom work. Yeah.
But my dad grew up running as well. So he got started as a kid. He actually ran his first marathon in 1980 when he was 12.
Get the heck out of here.
Yeah. So which is not a good thing. Don't do that.
Yeah, that's insane.
But it was 1980. So like the 80s had different rules for everything. The person who handed him his medal was probably smoking a cigarette. So it's like
probably. Yeah.
So that was his first marathon, but then it was another 20 years before he ran another marathon. And so when I was a kid in the late 90s, my dad was getting back into road races, and there were, I was 7, and he's like, "Hey, do you want to do a 5K with me?" And I'm like, "Yeah, let's do it. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that entails." But it sounds fun. He showed me how to pin on a bib and how to zip tie the timer to your shoe. Obviously that was
those
before.
Good old days, like the loop ones.
And then you have to actually return it. No, not even the loop ones. Like this was before the loop ones. This was the like chunky ones that you have to give back to them at the finish.
Wow.
So that then amazing. They can go do whatever they do so that you have an official time later on.
Yeah.
And
wild.
Yeah. And I did the first one. It was, so 2 days ago was the 19th. That's my runnerversary
Wow.
of that first 5K. And I had no idea what I was getting myself into, but like we immediately did a bunch more. So I spent the rest of elementary school doing 5Ks on the weekends with my dad. We usually just did them in the like fall and winter because it was so hot out there. And like now I'll run all summer, but like you don't put a second grader out like hey, you're gonna go run. It's and I mean out there it literally gets triple digits for months. It's insane. Like
I can't imagine.
no, it's terrible. So it wasn't a constant like running every day, every week, whatever, but for the rest of elementary school during racing season, like when the weather was nice, we did a lot of those, which was really cool. My dad got back into marathoning, so at the same time I also got to watch him for a lot of his races. That
cool.
was really my introduction to the distance. So obviously this was before smartphones and everything, and so we would drop my dad off 20 miles out into the desert, and then he would run home, and that was like we would measure it out on the odometer on the car. And then,
oh my gosh.
And then he'd run home. We would leave him. Him water bottles in like designated spots.
Good.
And he didn't. He didn't die out there. He made it home every time. I don't know how many people.
I mean, man,
other people were training like that and might still be, the little skeleton against the cactus. But
right. That's funny.
Yeah, but it's
good motivation. Like you got to get home. So good luck. Yeah. I mean, I guess if it would have taken him like a lot longer than you expected, you just drive back out there and find him. But yeah. That's
so
crazy.
I have a bell on my desk. I was like, so I'm in sales. My husband made me a bell so that when I sell something.
Oh, I used to have a gong for when I would close the deal.
Yeah, we had them. We met at work years ago, and there was a bell there. And then when COVID made us all work from home, he made me one for my desk. So that's what
really
that
sweet.
is.
I love it.
And then my dad started coaching cross country around the time I was going into junior high. So he coached high school cross country. And so and he had run cross country when he was in junior high and high school. And so it was just kind of like a no-brainer that was what I was going to do. In junior high, I signed up for the cross country team, and I was pretty middle of the pack then. Same as I am now. I was not a phenom by any stretch of the imagination, but that's one of the things that made me fall even more in love with the sport is that you don't have to be the person at the front. Like there's a place for everybody. Right. It's one of the only no-cut sports where if you want to be there, like you're on the team no matter what, which is so cool. And so it led into high school, did cross country and track in high school. I ended up meeting my best friend in high school track. And so to this day, she's my best friend. We talk on a daily basis.
That's so amazing.
That was a huge part of it. Yeah, my dad was your dad
is your coach.
Yeah, so that was such a cool thing too. And then I was sick of Arizona. I decided I'm going back to Texas. I moved to Austin, so I went to UT in Austin, and I decided that I was going to I ran like the first 2 years I would just run like occasionally just around campus or like we had an indoor track, like stuff like that. And then my junior year, I was like, I'm going to run a half marathon. And I had run like 6 miles, and I'm like, that's close enough. And I went out at like an 8-minute pace. I'm like, oh, this feels so good. This is amazing. And then the last like 5 miles was just pretty much walking. Like I finished that first half marathon in 2:14, and I went out at like a 1:45 pace. Like it was a rough last 5 miles like that. Like I'm talking like 15-minute miles. It was rough, but I decided to do it again the next month, and I PR'd, and then I did it again the next like 2 months later, and I PR'd again, and then I didn't PR again for 10 years after that. So I spent 10 years running in that like low 2s area. Mm-hmm. I had 2 kids in my 20s. So I had my son when I was 23 and my daughter when I was 28. And I ran as much as I could. So both of them, I did not run through the whole pregnancy. Both of them, the running ended with a half marathon. So I did the Austin half marathon in 2015 when I was 6 months pregnant with my son.
Okay.
And I finished, and like my skeleton, like just like broke apart into all of its individual pieces. And I didn't even run half a mile again until I was 6 weeks postpartum, and it had been glued back together. And then literally the same thing happened with my daughter, except I was 5 months pregnant at the time. I ran a half marathon with her, and then I had to get a ride on the golf cart to even get to my car. My brother had driven, because like there was no way that I was like literally my skeleton just fell apart. Like I was just like unable to function after that. So it went from half marathon to zero running for both of them until I was 6 weeks postpartum. But
Yeah. Wow. I did the Austin Marathon pregnant in
really,
2017. Mm-hmm.
how funny. That's
Yep.
so cool.
It was my first kid. So I was pregnant with my first kid. I was going down, a friend of mine, Selena, she lives in Austin still. And I was going down with two of my other girlfriends. We kind of a random group of women, but that we would meet up to do races. And one of them told us she was pregnant before we went. And so we were all really excited. I'm like, I'm going to wait and I'm going to surprise them when I get there. And so I remember telling them, and it was so fun. So Kim, my friend who was also pregnant, I think her and I ran most of the race together. But we made little signs on the back that said like "baby" on baby's first half.
I wore a lanyard, and it said "baby on board." It was like one of those signs that you put on your car,
yes.
but I put it onto a lanyard. So
that's amazing.
That's awesome.
Which was so fun, because people would be like, flying by me up the hills and be like, "Oh my gosh, you're amazing!" And I was like, I was really hard.
Trailed by the sweeper car for most of it. I did that half marathon because I was 6 months along at the time. So I finished that in 3:51. Like it was a slog, and it was
no wonder you like fell apart. That's so much time on your feet.
It was a lot. Yeah. It was a lot. It's my slowest half marathon by like 45 minutes. I've had a few summer half marathons over 3 hours, but nothing close to 4 like that. Like,
wow,
that was,
that's incredible that you were able to do that. and then 5 months pregnant. I like mine, the times that I did it, I think the furthest I ran was like only 20 some weeks. I did a half marathon with my first. I did 2 half marathons with my first, and then none at all with my second pregnancy, just because my body didn't want me to, I guess.
Yeah.
So,
and after mine, my body said the same thing. I was like, you're not doing a 5K. You're not walking a mile. Like you're doing nothing until this baby is
done now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So, and then after becoming a mom, you ran 6 weeks postpartum. What was your first marathon after becoming a mom?
So I had actually never ran a marathon until my I had both my kids.
That's right. Which is so amazing.
So I did Rock and Roll San Antonio, which we used to have out here. That was my first half marathon in 2012, my first full marathon in 2022, my first postpartum half marathon in 2015 and 2021.
Wow. And they don't have it anymore?
So it's being replaced this year by just the San Antonio Marathon. Like we're going to have our own thing. So I think the course is really similar. It's just being put on like by the city itself, which is cool. Like it's not just one stop on the thing. Like it's like our actual marathon. So I'm excited for it.
That's really cool.
So that was my first postpartum for both kids, and my first all-time half and all-time full.
That's really cool.
Yeah. But I did the half. My daughter was born March 29th. I did the half at like the first weekend of December, and it was really, really tough. I like called my dad at like mile 10 walking, and like, I can't do it. Like it was really rough, but I did finish it, and I got, more into shape and all that. And then the next year I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do a full marathon. Because I turned 30, and like it's just a thing, you can't be in your 30s and like not have at least like a little bit of a desire to run a full marathon. And so I'm like, all right, it's time. And so that is actually the first time that I discovered interval training. Before that, I had never, like, I walked plenty, but it was not planned. Like it was just kind of like, if I need to walk, I'll walk, which actually ends up being a lot more than planned. But I joined the San Antonio Roadrunners, so our local run club. And when I was training with them for my first full marathon, that's when I was introduced to the walk run method. And I used it for my first full marathon. That was a horrible experience. So
no.
yeah, so it rained the entire time. I felt sick the entire time, and I fell really hard at like mile 19. And there's footage of me finishing. I have never looked worse. Like in active childbirth, like I looked better than I did at the finish line of that race. Like it is so bad. And then I went home and I just kept feeling worse and worse and worse. And then I got a fever and I'm like, this is not something that running does to you. So I ended up taking a COVID test and I tested positive for COVID about 6 or 8 hours after finishing my first marathon. It turned out
out of town.
Yeah, so that was really bad.
Yeah, no wonder you felt so bad.
It took me 5.5 hours. I thought I was gonna die. It was terrible. And so I did the only thing that I could, which is sign up for another marathon. Cause I'm like, okay, if I do this healthy, it's gotta be better.
If I
than
do
that.
it and I don't have COVID. Well, I can't believe since 2022, you've run 11 marathons. Like that's so many marathons, Hillary. Like, it's amazing.
Yeah, it was a pretty quick, like, all right, I'm doing this a lot. But I did the Austin Marathon for the first time that spring. So about 2 months after San Antonio. And I took like more than half an hour off my time. I finished in 4:57. Wow. And I was like, okay, obviously there's more room to improve, but this is what I should feel like. Like I shouldn't feel great, but it shouldn't be like I want to literally die. Like actually, like right. there's a line between the two. And so that was the first time that I'm like, okay, this is what a marathon feels like. It feels like dying, but like only in a dramatic sense. Like you can.
Yeah, I totally get. Yes. It's nice to like finish and be like, okay, I don't necessarily have more in the tank. Yeah. But I also like can make my way through.
I don't need to be medically evacuated.
Yeah. I don't have to go in the medical tent, which I have done before. And you've done 4 out of the 6 major marathons. So which ones have you done for the majors?
So my first one was Boston, which was 2 months after Austin, actually.
That was your first major?
That was my first major. And it was the craziest thing. So I had met somebody on Instagram, and this was right when I started my Instagram. And I met somebody who was running that year for charity. And I just DM'd him. I'm like, hey, tell me how you did all this. And he's like, oh, well, I found a charity that really resonated with me. And I reached out like directly to them and all this stuff. And so I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm going to go find one. And then maybe in 2024, I can run the Boston Marathon. And so I go online and I find, backing it up, my daughter was born with a heart condition. She had heart surgery at 15 months old. And at this point, when it was March of 2021, she was about 9 months post-op. And so I found a charity that was called Team Big Heart. And I was like, oh, this is perfect. And on their website, they had never taken down the submission form for the 2023 Boston Marathon. And so I filled it out and I said, okay, I know we're 1 month away. I am sure that y'all are full, but since this is open, let me just tell you my daughter's story and let's get a head start for 2024. Yeah. And so I was like, let's just get a head start on 2024. And then I get a call from Susan Hurley from Charity Teams. She actually passed away this last week. Like incredible woman. I get a phone call from her and she's like, hey, I saw this and I actually just got 3 bibs for the race. 2 of them are going to like rich people that can like pay the charity thing, the charity minimum, and she put it more eloquently than that, but that's essentially what it was. And she's like, do you think you can raise $8,500 and get yourself to Boston in the next 32 days? And I was like, yeah, let's do it.
Like, I'm in sales. Yeah. I got this.
I can do it. And what helped was that I had so many people while we were going through all of her stuff with her heart who are like, let me know if we can do anything to help, anything. And so I was like, our journey's over, but there's so many people who are in the middle of it. And so if y'all can donate in her honor. And I hit my goal in 22 days. And I could not get a flight to Boston. That was the other thing. I was unable to do that. But I did get a flight to Newark and a train ticket. So I made it up to Boston.
Wow.
My third marathon was the Boston Marathon, my first major. We got there at like 4 p.m. on Sunday, just because of how the travel logistics, the only way we could even get into town. And so I didn't get to do any of the full like experience. Like I made it just in time to get my bib and then go to sleep. Like
Go sleep and then go run the marathon.
but it was such a cool experience. I could not believe I was there. So
Yeah.
I still like telling that story. It's insane the way that it played out. But I finished and I ended up PRing at that one as well. So I had run 5:32 and then 4:57. Then I ran Boston in 4:44. And so that was the first time that I got in my mind, like, you know what, maybe I could run in under 4.5 hours. And so I left Boston with the goal of sub 4:30 and 6 stars. And so that summer, I had you could sign up for the virtual New York City Marathon, and then that would guarantee you entry for the following year for the in-person one.
Oh.
And so I decided to do that with Team for Kids. So if you do it with the virtual, I don't know what it is now, but at the time you only had to raise $1,000. So that was pretty like compared to 8,500, I'm like, oh, I can do that.
You're like, that's nothing.
Yeah. And so I did that. I ran the virtual marathon the weekend of the 2023 New York City Marathon and got my spot for 2024. So I was like, okay, cool.
Where'd you run? Just like around San Antonio?
It worked so well because we had a 20-mile race that weekend. So I ran the 20-mile race and then I just went back out on the course and did the last 10K, and there were like still people like still running at that time. So like I was never, by myself. Like it was almost like having an actual marathon. It was I lucked out.
Yeah. I don't know, because I don't know how people do
like
marathons virtually just like on their own. I don't. Yeah.
No. And then my best friend got engaged. And so she told me, hey, we're going to get married in Portugal. And I'm like, oh, cool. When? She's like, oh, September 21st. I'm like, okay, so I'm going to be in Europe at the end of September in 2024. Let me look at when the Berlin Marathon is. And it turned out it was 1 week later. And so I signed up to do charity to do the Berlin Marathon. So in 2024, I ended up doing Berlin and New York City. And it just worked out that way because I had already gotten my spot from the virtual one. But then, I mean, I'm going to be on the right continent 1 week before. Like, there's no way I could just not do it.
That's right.
Like, when am I going to happen to be in Europe again?
Right.
I've never happened to be in Europe anytime before that. So I did Berlin last fall. That was number 2. And then New York City 6 weeks later was number 3. And then I still hadn't hit my 4:30 goal time. And I was like, I'm going to do Chicago for my next one because it's fast and flat. And I mean, if world records are set there, then personal records can be set there. Yeah. And so I signed up for another charity and I did fundraising for that. At that point, I decided I was just going to do all 6 majors for charity. Like even if there was a possibility of getting a spot without doing that, I was like, on principle, I'm going to do it. And I trained, and then that was 6 weeks ago. And I finally had my breakthrough race after missing my 4:30 goal 6 times. I finished in 4:15. And and then I finished last week in 4:22. So
heck yeah. Now it's like you're like, okay, now can I go on?
What next?
Yeah. Now what? Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then number 5 is London in April.
Oh my gosh. And then the hardest one to get to do, even for charity, Tokyo will be left then.
They have a thing where you can get a spot if it's your 6th. They're pretty good about giving you a spot to finish up. And that's then there's a lot of charities that do like BYOB. So like if you already have a spot, then you run for that charity and like your minimum is lower. So that's kind of my plan for that.
Okay.
I haven't thought too much about it, but if I finish in 7, that'll be a month before my 35th birthday. So it's kind of like a goal that I set for myself. I'm like, all right,
there you go.
6 stars by 35.
There you go. Before your 36th year.
Yes.
Because when you turn, because you turn 35, then you'll be in your 36th year.
Yeah.
Marketing, you can just twist it a little bit. Okay. 6 stars before my 36th year. That's so cool. Wow. That's crazy that Boston was your first major.
Yeah.
And like how that all came together. That's really special. I think I had somebody on this podcast who ran for team what is it called? Big Heart, Team
Yeah.
Big Heart. Yeah, I think he ran. He had
Really?
an open heart surgery.
How?
Yeah, and ran. It was crazy.
That's
Anyway,
amazing.
but I've heard of that organization.
Yeah.
Okay, and then two more topics I want to make sure we hit on before we're done. Your podcast.
Yes.
And then also becoming a running coach.
Yeah.
Kind of following in your dad's footsteps a little
Yeah.
bit there. So whichever one you want to tackle first.
So I can talk about the coaching. So it's just kind of an on the side thing. My run club is an RRCA club, and so they have every so often they'll have the RRCA courses that you can do, the Roadrunners Club of America.
I knew what it stood for, but thank you.
Yeah, and so they'll have that, and so a bunch of people do it. Like even if you don't end up coaching, like you just learn good stuff like that. Just that was kind of my idea. I'm like, even if I don't coach anybody, it's a good learning experience.
Mm-hmm.
And so in March of 2024 is when I became a certified running coach. I have a handful of people who I coach. I got them through Chicago and Berlin and New York City the last cool. few years, all middle of the packers. So I am not coaching people who want to qualify for the Olympic trials or for Boston or for anything like that. Like I am very much let's get you to the finish faster than you did your last one. And
is there, for interval training in particular, is there a special certification or like aspect of the course you do for that? Or is that?
I need to look into that, honestly. So Jeff Galloway has so many resources for that. He's coming on my podcast in a couple weeks. And that's like one of the things that I really want to talk about is like more resources with that. Because I didn't used to really post about it. Like it was just, I didn't think much about it. It wasn't like I'm gonna like hide the fact that I do this, but it was like I just didn't think about it, so I didn't post much. Yeah. And then after the 415 and the 155, and using intervals for both of those, a lot of people really resonated with that, and the fact that intervals are not just for beginning runners or for people who your only goal is to make it to the finish line. Like you can have time goals, you can get faster with it, you can be a 26-year runner and get the benefits from it. I need to look into that more, like to see what sort of specific coaching things, because that's a great question. I think that would be something that would be really good to know, but as of right now, I don't know, but I just do it on the side. It's not a full-time thing. I'm good with having 5 or 6 runners at any given time. It's a good manageable amount.
I mean, that's a lot. And then you have your like content creation side of your world. Then you have your podcast side of your world and like, a day job.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
just a little
and your
bit.
mom.
Yeah, and a mom,
a wife somewhere in there.
Yeah. And then, so the podcast. So the first time I was on a podcast was pretty soon after Boston. And I went on a podcast. It's just called the Marathon Podcast to talk about my experience being a charity runner. And this was
that the one with Warwick, the Marathon Podcast, that one, or is it a different marathon podcast?
I'm not sure. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to look. A blonde
okay.
woman.
Okay. No. So there's another one I feel like it's new-ish, or it's new to me, called the Marathon Podcast. I'm sure there's a lot of marathon podcasts out there. So
this was 2 years ago. But I went on there, and this was like right after there was some sort of post where people were bashing charity runners at Boston. And I put out some sort of post in response to that about like misconceptions about charity runners. They're taking up people's bibs and they're not serious runners, and they're all back of the packers, and like all of this stuff. And I put that out, and so she had noticed that, and she's like, hey, do you want to come on my podcast to talk about this? And so I went on, and I'm like, this is fun. Like I can talk about running like for like constantly forever. And so that was kind of the first time that I really thought about like starting a podcast. And it took another 2 years to do it. But like that was kind of the beginnings of it. And years ago, I read this book by Amby Burfoot called The First Ladies of Running. And it came out in 2016. I probably read it somewhere around there, maybe 2018 or so. But it's about like all the women who kind of paved the way for running. So obviously, you know, Catherine Switzer's in there, and Cheryl Bridges and Jacqueline Hansen, and all of these people who, you know, were pioneers in women's running. And so that was the first time that I really thought about, you know, what happened before me, not just, you know, what's going on in running now, but how did we get here? So that was kind of the beginning of my interest in running history. And then over time, the two kind of went together, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to start a podcast. There are a lot of podcasts where people talk about who is doing awesome stuff on the road, on the track, on the cross country course today. I'm going to do something different, and we're going to talk about who used to do it, and, you know, who paved the way. And that's when this podcast came about, and I launched it in July. And it's been awesome. I've had some really cool guests on it.
Yeah, you have.
Yeah, I have some more cool ones coming up. And I try to do, you know, everything from track. You know, I have Olympic gold medalists in the 100, the 4x100 at Calvin Smith, all the way up to, I had the winner of the very first Badlands ultra marathon. And yeah, and it was actually a woman, Eleanor Robinson, which was
actually
really
that
cool.
Surprises me. I was like, oh, I'm assuming it's like an older guy.
Yeah, it was actually
really
a
cool.
woman. She won it outright. There were only 5 finishers that year. I think it was 83 or 87. I would have to look. It was in the 80s.
Yeah.
But she won outright. And so I had her on there, and then a lot of, you know, Olympians and just successful pro runners, and just hearing what things were like when they got started, and how things have changed, and what was significant in their personal running history, and all of that. And then not every episode has interviews. I do episodes also where there's no one left to talk to. Like my episode that I put out last week was about the very first Olympic political protest. So there was a 1906 Olympics, which also, like, surprise, because it's an off year. It was the only time they ever did that, because they're like, oh, it'll be the 10-year anniversary of the first one. Let's do this. And then they did, and they're like, nah, this is too much. So they didn't do it again. But 1906 Olympics, and at the time, Ireland was under British rule, and there was this long jumper who was Irish, and he was promised that he could compete for Ireland. Then he gets to the Olympics. They're like, so you're actually competing for Britain. And he went on to win 1 gold, 1 silver. And then during the medal ceremony, he shimmied his way up the flagpole to replace the Union Jack with the Irish flag. And so that was like the very first political protest. So, you know, obviously this guy died in the 50s. You know, he was an Olympic medalist in 1906. Like, there is not anybody alive who it was, you know, part of this. And so I'll do episodes like that where it's like, that's cool. You know, I don't have a guest. It's just like telling a story because it's interesting and And so that's it in a nutshell. I'm trying to do one coming up soon that's a little bit different, where it's like just like the history of running shoes. So not a specific event, but it's more like, here's how it's evolved over time. And I want to do one with fueling. Like, there's just so many things like that.
Watches. Like,
watches would be great. Like
music is so funny to think about. Like, I used to try to run with like my CD, like Discman or whatever. Yeah. That's really cool. I love the unique aspect that you're tackling. Just, like the more historical approach, because there are a million running podcasts. And so it's hard to find like kind of a spot where nobody's, you know, done it. And I think that that's a pretty unique take on running. And it's really interesting.
It's so funny because, you know, Emily Infeld was on Lindsay Hines' podcast that we watched live a week or two ago. And a lot of the rhetoric around Emily Infeld recently is that, you know, she's still national champion on the track at 35, the ancient age of 35. And it was funny because I had her on yesterday and I was like, hey, so great news. You are the youngest person who's ever come on my podcast.
Yay.
You know, I had recently had Hal Higdon on, who's 94. I'm like, look, so like in comparison,
I need to listen to that one.
Yeah, like in comparison, look, you are 60 years younger than these people. So you are a spring chicken. So it was funny.
Yes.
So I'll have people who are still competing. I had Hillary Allen on, the mountain trail runner. So she's in her late 30s. Like, I'll have occasional people like that as well, just with interesting stories. But the vast majority are people who have retired, and their heyday was 20, 30, 50, 70 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's a cool thing. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I don't think we said the name yet, but Today in Running History is the name.
Yes.
So go listen to that.
Yes.
Yeah, well, congratulations, because, launching a podcast, like keeping up on a podcast, like it's a lot of work. And so the fact that you do that alongside the other things that you do, I'm in awe.
I appreciate it. It's fun. It's fun. Like and you had asked me before we got on here, you had asked me what I'm most proud of, my most proud moment or whatever. And I would say that it's not really a moment. It is that I've been able to hold on to my passion for running for so long. Like at no point have I ever gotten to the point where any of this feels like a chore, or, I have to do this, like burnout, anything like that. And so it's tiring, and like individual workouts, like sometimes I don't feel like doing them, or, if I have to record something, last minute or something like that, like it's not that I enjoy every single part of it, but the overall it's fun, and I genuinely, truly enjoy it.
Yeah. 26 years, man. Amazing. All right. I'm going to ask you the end of the podcast questions now.
All right. Let's do it.
My kid's going to get off the bus in an hour, and then we're going right to Wicked. She gets off that bus, we're going. I know, I'm so excited. Okay, so what is your favorite running mantra and or song?
So mantra is keep moving forward. And I've used that one during a lot of races. But essentially, as long as you keep doing that, like you'll get to the finish line. It might not be pretty or fast or what you were hoping for, but as long as you keep moving forward, you'll progress. And I mean that, there's so many tie-ins for just like life in general with that one.
Right.
Keep moving forward. And then my favorite running song is Centerfold by Jay Giles Band, just because it is a fun one.
I don't know if I know. Will I know it when I hear it?
I'm sure you will. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll definitely recognize it. But that's on every single playlist I've ever made for anything, or anytime there's like collaborative playlists. That's my contribution. It's such
good. Well, I usually add people's songs to, there's a Finish Lines and Milestones playlist. So I will add it to that playlist. Now it'll be there. Okay. And then your next finish line or milestone.
So technically my next race is the San Antonio Half Marathon in a couple weeks, but I don't have any goals for that one. It'll be, counting rock and roll, it'll be my 11th time doing it. It's one, like I don't have any time goals. I just want to run it. Like it's just the one race that I don't want to miss. Because it's my city. And then I found out I'll be running the Austin Half Marathon with Team Spy Belt. I found out this week.
Oh, that's awesome.
So,
I love Spy Belt. They've been around forever. And I love that product.
Doing that. And then I have the London Marathon in April. So I'm running that with Team Keep a Child Alive. So I'm in the middle of the fundraising portion for that.
Yes, you are.
And thank you for your donation also.
Oh, absolutely. And when this will come out, so you'll still be in fundraising mode by the time this comes out.
I have a long
because
way
it's possible to go. This should come out before the end of the year, but so we'll be sure to post the links and have people support you there.
Awesome.
I love all the creative ways that you are fundraising.
Thank you.
Clearly you are an expert at it now. I mean, you have to say that you are, because you've fundraised for 4 of the 6 major world majors, and that is not a small feat, especially for Boston in such a short amount of time. But yeah, the advent calendars that you just launched, that you put together, super cute.
Thank you.
The raffle idea, like all those things. I just find I'm always so inspired by charity runners, because they're not only doing the training to run a whole marathon, but it's like a side job. It's like another job to do all the things and get creative and fundraise. So it's awesome.
Awesome.
And then we got to get you back to Indy sometime.
Yes.
Sometime.
I would definitely like to do that. I'm sure I'll do some other races in between. And then I don't think I'm going to run London for time, but I think I'm going to run the Toronto Marathon next October, and I'm going to go for sub 4.
There we go. That's so exciting.
Yeah.
We were in Toronto right before it happened, like right before the marathon for our fall break. And I was so bummed to not be able to like just hang around and do that, because
Yeah,
Such a
so
beautiful
my
city.
best friend just had a baby on Tuesday, and she lives outside of Toronto, and so I'm like, oh, well, I'm gonna go. I'll run that one, excuse to come visit,
Yep.
see you, see the baby, another place with beautiful fall weather and foliage and all that
Yeah.
stuff. So,
Yes,
and
absolutely.
it's a fast course too, so it would be a good one. But then like London's like a lot of people PR in London, but it's also like a once in a lifetime kind of thing. So I don't want to miss the sights and sounds and the photos and all
Right.
that stuff. And like I can
Yeah.
go to Toronto anytime. Like obviously I don't live there, but it's a quick flight to get there. And
Mhm.
I've been to Toronto maybe 10 times. Like so I can always, if I go and I race hard and I don't make a single memory on the course, like it's okay because
Right.
I can
That's
do it.
fine.
I can do it again. Yeah.
Yes, yes, totally. Oh, well, Hillary, thank you so much for doing this. It was so fun getting a chance to get to know you even better. And I know people are going to love this
Yay. I'm
conversation. There's
excited
so
to
much more we
listen
could
to
have
it.
talked about
I
too.
know.
So people just need to go follow you on
Yes,
Instagram
please
because
do.
then they can like see all of what you're about there too, because I love everything about what you're doing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, absolutely. And thank you to everybody who has listened, and happy running.
Yay.
If you enjoyed this episode of Finish Lines and Milestones from Sandy Boy Productions, please share with a friend, rate, review. Again, that goes such a long way in helping to grow this show. Thank you again to Amazfit and Foot Levelers for your sponsorship, and I will see you next week. Bye.